everybody, it's Jeff Noble with FASDforever.com. Thank you so much for checking out my video. Of course, I love to bring what's called candid convos, and today we are with Emily Travis. Hi Emily, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Okay, great. So the reason that we have Emily on here is that she's a pretty outstanding individual. She does more than most human beings I know, but there's something that goes along with that. So Emily, what are you involved with right now?
So I'm involved with a couple different things, but pageantry, I guess I did throw that one out there. You were asking about that earlier, and currently I am the Miss Metropolis.
Okay.
Yes, the home of Superman. So that will go on to compete in the Miss Illinois and Miss America organization. You might not know too much about that in Canada, but we are the largest scholarship provider for young women. So I'm involved with that pretty extensively, and then I'm a counselor at a pregnancy crisis center for the Hispanic ministries clients. So
Okay.
A couple different things there.
Okay. And so you're also applying, you're in the process of applying to university, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So, and I also see that you go on missions as well. I've seen some cool pictures, right, down in Mexico.
Yes.
Okay, so you do a lot of things, and you said you're involved with pageantry. Is that the goal, is to win Miss Illinois and then do Miss America?
Okay, so apparently I can't say that it's a goal. I mean, it is a desire of mine to become Miss Illinois, but it's completely and utterly on the shoulders of the judges at Miss Illinois, who they choose. But I would love, it would be a dream come true to be able to go to Miss America, because, you know, my platform is fetal alcohol spectrum disorders, and so to be able to have it not just on a state level, but on a national level and bring awareness to this cause, oh my gosh. Dream come true.
Oh, that's amazing. That's a great segue. So not only do you talk about it, but you live with it, right?
Correct.
Okay. So you're living with fetal alcohol, and I see you doing all these extraordinary things, right? And you're articulate, and I noticed that I wasn't creeping you. I was just doing my due diligence. But you play the piano, right? That's your talent?
I do.
You know, that's amazing, the amount of brain power and that it takes to learn how to do and execute it. I think took me 2 months once to learn the intro to Walking in Memphis. So I just commend you on that. Like, that's amazing. But you're also living with this disability, and this interview is basically for caregivers. So you're doing so well, but yet you're living with it. Now it's a spectrum, and everybody's different. How does it affect you, Emily?
Where do I start? Honestly, see, when I was 1 year old, I was diagnosed with fetal alcohol syndrome, the full-blown syndrome. I had all the necessary criteria that was needed in order to reach that diagnosis, and part of it was I wasn't growing. When I was 1 year of age, I weighed as much as a newborn, and I was having, of course, a lot of other struggles and difficulties, and my adoptive parents knew about the alcohol, and I had cocaine and marijuana in my system when I was born as well, and so they knew that there was something. But in my area, no one spoke about fetal alcohol syndrome. And so they took me from doctor to doctor, and finally I got that diagnosis of fetal alcohol syndrome. Fast forward, I'm so glad I did, because if you get that early diagnosis and get those early interventions,
right, then
it really helps as far as knowing exactly what kind of strategies to employ. I can talk about the physical problems all day long. I have, like, literally a 30-minute speech alone on the physical ailments. I have 2 heart conditions, a severe scoliosis, cyst on my kidneys, my joints pop in and out of place, I have that growth hormone deficiency, so many more. But I think the thing that I deal with on the daily basis, on something that is such a struggle, would be my memory. I always describe it, it's like going back into a journal.
Right.
There's no words, no drawings, no pictures. It's blank. There's nothing there. I have forgotten entire days, people that I've known my entire life, and that can be a big struggle. Of course, it's like if I look at you during this interview and I'm like, what'd you say? I'm sorry. It's because lips. It's part of the hearing deficiency as well, and that's something that I have to work with.
So that's audio processing, right?
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So to see my lips and to hear my voice works way better than not being able to.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Let me just back up just a little bit. So memory problems. There's physical problems because we know not only does alcohol, disrupt the brain as it develops, but it also disrupts the central nervous system as well. And you mentioned you had sensory issues before. But I'm curious, even for me personally, like what kind? Are the lights too bright? Do things get too loud? Where does that kind of...
My thing is more the touch. It hurts to open up a bottle of water. When I was younger, my dad used to help me get ready for school because my mom was working 15-hour shifts at the hospital, and so he'd be the one responsible getting me ready. He'd be the one braiding my hair, at least trying to anyway. Mm-hmm. And he put my socks on for me in the morning, and I would kick and scream and throw a fit because I could not stand the way those socks felt on my feet. And so I'd be late every single day to school because of the socks, that sensory integration issue with the socks. And I still have issues with socks today. Henceforth, I don't have any socks on right now.
No socks.
It's winter and I still don't have socks on. I can't stand.
Okay, so isn't it hard? How do you explain this to people? You're in beauty pageants, right? Or pageants. Sorry if I said beauty pageants. So you're in pageants. You look normal. You're beautiful. You are articulate. So if you're having one of these problems with either, the physical or you're saying what? I can't hear you. How do people not believe you? They say, that there's anything wrong with you because of the arena that you're always in, right?
See, that is the biggest thing I think that I have to face is people that do not believe me. Like you're talking about people looking normal. Fetal alcohol syndrome and fetal alcohol spectrum disorders, up to 90% don't even have any facial disabilities.
That's facts.
Autism, it's wonderful that there's so much awareness about it, but it's almost easier to spot, and it's easier to forgive parents if their child is acting out. Say their child with an autism spectrum disorder is acting out. It's easier to forgive them because those around can see that there is something going on inside the brain. Right. But those with our diagnosis and our disability, parents get blamed all the time. Well, can't you just control that child? Can't you get them under control? Because they don't see that there's that brain damage in here. And so part of what I do in my travels and my speaking is trying to get people to understand that although we look normal, whatever that
sure.
That we have that brain damage, and we have the behavioral issues that are secondary to the brain damage.
That's right.
The primary issue.
Right. So we agree. There's symptoms. That's the secondary disabilities are symptoms of organic brain damage. I get that, but not a lot of people do. True. But then because here's where I'm coming from with this, and here's where I'm thinking. You have parents at home, okay? You have parents at home, and they say, I hear this all the time in consultations, but my kid is so smart. My kid is so smart, and he can talk so well in front of people, and he says he's going to do this and this and this and this, but then again he can't even remember to put his toothbrush away or flush the toilet. Or so that's we know that's executive functioning, right? Planning, organizing, and that's where so if you didn't have the supports you had, would you be doing as well as you are?
Oh, of course not.
Right.
I think you have to have, I always talk about you have to have the supports, you have to have the strategies. For me, a big thing has been my faith as well. So if it weren't for those three things, then I would not be near as successful as what most people would consider me today. My parents helped me a lot as far as lists. Writing out lists.
Yeah.
A lot of times we talk about if you tell someone to do this, this, and this, they're going to be focusing so much on that first thing, trying to remember it, that they're going to forget the last, or they only remember hearing the last, so that they forget the first two. And so lists help me out so much. And please, caregivers, be patient, because we will get to things eventually. We are slow. We'll get to them in our own time. We're slow processors. Right?
No, that's right. I'll emulate that statement, because when we had our foster guy, I would ask him to clean his room, and an hour later he wouldn't. He would still be doing his thing, and and early on, without training, I assumed, he was doing that to me, and he was just doing that to tick me off, kind of, right? And he wasn't being compliant. But then when I learned about fetal alcohol, and that sometimes it takes them a while to get, to process that and to get motivated, I would wait, but 3, 4, maybe 5 hours later, he would get up and he would go and clean his room. Now, if I sit there and bitched at him, pardon my French, what are we going to do? We're going to develop those secondary characteristics, because he's going to say, "Hey, man, lay off." And do you still melt down in that way, Em? Do you get overwhelmed sometimes? And
absolutely. I think the biggest trigger for me as far as getting overwhelmed would be when adults show how much that they are stressed out at you, when they start to raise their voice, and my brain says, wait, you're the adult, you're supposed to be in control. Particularly, I'm 24 years, almost 24, I'll be 24 at the end of this month. Okay. And so I'm 24 years old, and I still think adults should be in control. But could you imagine take 10 years away, being 14, and the adult is yelling and losing control, and in your world, the adult to be in control, and so you're thinking, oh my gosh, if they're freaking out, I gotta freak out as well. If I could share just a brief story with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
When I was at my past university, I graduated with my bachelor's recently, and at my past university, I had this story. I share this story a lot, and it's funny now, but then it wasn't funny.
I got a lot of those too, Emily, trust me.
She was working in the cafeteria, and I proceeded to walk into the cafeteria, as I did every day, to eat lunch in the cafeteria. And she said, no, you don't live on campus. You don't belong here. And I said, wait, excuse me? I go to school here. I pay, I have scholarship here. I deserve to eat in my cafeteria. And she began to yell at me. Well, I went into the porcupine mode, and my quills went up, and I began to yell back. Not the best thing to do to authority. I know, I really do. And, I after it was all said and done, all I wanted to do was, like a porcupine does, it, curls back up into its ball, and it just wants to hide. It's the same thing with us. We have that porcupine effect. Our quills go up, and really all we're wanting is someone to kind of calm us down, calm everything around us down. And one more story. There's a man who also has a fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. He has fetal alcohol syndrome. And he explained the whole impulsivity and anger. It's like being on a train going down a hill with no engineer, no caboose, no way to stop this train. And all you want to do is scream, help, help, help. But the only words that are coming out of your mouth are obscenities and bad things. Yeah, sure. And that's the best. I think that's a beautiful way to explain what it's like when we're under this porcupine attack, or we're just feeling overwhelmed. And what do you do? What are some of your strategies when you feel? I know you rely on the people around you, but is there any skills, coping skills that perhaps you have learned that help you? I got a puppy. Okay. Puppies help a lot. It's like that deep pressure, when the dog is laying on you and you feel that calming effect. That helps so much. And playing native flute helps a lot as well. I don't know if you ever heard of Morgan Fawcett, but he's a wonderful flute player. He also has an FASD, and he gave me my first native flute, and that has helped me a lot as far as with the breathing and calming myself down. Okay, to help yourself regulate, right? Oh, yeah. Because I think one of the missing components is for people without the disorder, our brain regulates us, almost automatically. Sometimes we have to we'll take a walk, or we can talk ourselves down and say, if I always use the example I heard from Dr. Jackie Pye, and she says, we all get cut off in traffic, and that
when you get really angry when someone cuts you off, you want to stick your finger out the window, right, and tell them where to go. But we talk ourselves down. We say, you know what, relax, put your finger in. You know, you'll get in trouble to do that. But you described it that people living on the spectrum may not be able to calm themselves down that way, talk themselves down. So it's good to have other supports, and I think it's also good to learn coping mechanisms like that you're trying as well to help yourself. I think that's brilliant. Now, before we go, because I just want to make sure we're focusing on that. Although you're doing all these great things, you have some supports. What are your supports in place? So you say you have a puppy to help with your sensory issues, that deep. What other kind of supports do you have in place for yourself to maintain what you're doing?
Okay, so there's a section in my speeches that I give, and it's kind of, now I'm blanking on what I entitled. Of course I would. Hey.
Yeah, that's right. You're allowed here. You're allowed. That's fine.
Music, herbs, and other helps, I think is what I call it. And piano helps so much, let me tell you. I know that's not necessarily like a support system as far as a person goes, but it took a person to get me involved in piano. And, of course, I take piano from an individual, and there's nothing like piano as far as strengthening your brain, strengthening that center of the brain. It's called the corpus callosum, and strengthening communications between the left and the right hemispheres.
I agree.
And that has helped. Believe it or not, piano helps with emotional regulation as well. It not only helps with logistical and analytical issues, it helps with the emotional regulation. And I have this herb, and, it might not work for everyone. It's not FDA regulated here in the States or anything like that, but it's called lion's mane. And it passes the blood-brain barrier, and it stimulates nerve growth hormone. Cool. And if I don't take it, I'm telling you, if I don't take it, I can tell that I've missed a dosage because I'm back to forgetting common everyday objects. They're called names of people that I've known my entire life if I skip just one dosage. And so that has helped me as well. And again, it goes back to adults in your life knowing not to escalate the problem, keeping calm, deep pressure, hug, one step at a time. Those things help so much.
Do you have a support system with adults that do that for you?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a support system of adults? Are your parents still involved? Do you have friends that you could call if you're ever just having one of those bad brain days?
Okay, so I have a special friend. I guess you can call him significant other or whatever, and he completely understands. Okay. Of course, granted, it helped that he's been around me and conferences, and he went into the medical field, so it helps a lot that he understands the insides of it as well, and he knows exactly how to respond to if ever I'm having a moment where I just need help, and so that helps tremendously. Okay,
that's my point. So your significant other, your partner, is there to help you, and it's your external brain, right? Could we say that? Okay, yes. Cool.
Yes. Okay, and I should say that my mother is an external. She's my planner. She helps with my daily planning.
Awesome. This is what I'm talking about.
I'm sorry. I was getting
that's okay. We're figuring it out, and that's my goal, is that you have these people, because the last thing I want is for caregivers to believe their kids are more capable than they really are without supports. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Without the supports, left to because that's where the damage is. It's not what you know, it's what you do with what you know, and maybe accessing information and regulating. But you guys can still do great things, and you're proof positive of that. So you're a speaker, and you are. So what do you do? Conferences, trainings, yes. Tell us what you do there.
I do a little bit of everything. Just to kind of piggyback a little bit back on what you're saying real quickly, there's nothing wrong with accommodations. Mm-hmm. There's absolutely nothing. A lot of people are afraid to ask for those because they're afraid, it's going to bring more attention to my child, or there's nothing wrong with that. I got time extensions when I was at university.
Yeah, good point. On all your tests, right? And
not all of them, but on the time test, I got a little bit of a time extension. And at first I was a little bit kind of like, I feel like I shouldn't ask for this. I mean, I'm a 4.0 student, and I feel like if people find out that I asked for a time extension, then they're going to think that it was just handed to me. But I've learned that's not the case. You have to make accommodations for the brain damage. You just have to.
Well, that's right. And everybody is good at something and not so good at other things. And that's why I talk a lot, and when I learned, it was about interdependence. Listen, everything that I learned about fetal alcohol, I applied in my own personal life. And that's the reason why we're talking. It's the reason why I have a website. It's the reason why I do what I do and was able to write a book and all of that stuff. And because I am not good at certain things. And so I am interdependent on my partner who is good at those things, and vice versa. There's things that, she's not good at that I do, but I couldn't do the same things. And so I think part of it was, everybody thinks that they need to do it on their own because everybody preaches independence, be that independent woman, or be that man to handle your business. But everybody's brain is different, and so everybody needs accommodations as well. But the focus here is with fetal alcohol as well, because it's just people. And then what happens is, I'm sure that you've built really good habits. And that kind of takes over for thinking, and so we need to build good habits in our guys. But it takes a lot longer, and to do that, to create those habits. But you're an example of what happens when everything puts together, and not only your own determination to do that, because you do more adults than I know, anyways, right? So who are considered normal, whatever that means. Right. So just to end it off, I think that folks, if you are booking a conference, if you want somebody to speak to your organization about fetal alcohol, this young lady is it. And she's good. And, she's been all around the country. And we hope one day that, we could say Emily Travis, Miss Illinois. And I think you should play Walking on Memphis for your thing. Okay, cool. So thanks very much for joining us, Em, and we're definitely going to have you back if that's cool.
Oh, I would love to. I'd love to delve a little bit more into strategies and what's going on in my life.
Oh, awesome. I think we should do a returning one, and we could talk more, because you're a wealth of knowledge, and I can definitely sit here for a lot longer. So until then, folks, if you like the video, don't forget underneath to subscribe to my YouTube channel, because we are going to have a lot more videos as well. In the comments is going to be how you can get a hold of Emily through Facebook, Twitter, her email address as well. So if you have any questions, I'm sure she'll be more than happy to answer them. So until then, enjoy the Candid Combo, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.